Hey,
Hi, how are you?
good. How's it going?
I'm pretty good, thanks. Ooh, you got some books over there too. Do you have
Somewhat.
some books over there as well?
Oh yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
A favorite. Oh, many, many. Where does one start?
Right, depends on what subject matter, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I had a long day, had a long rehearsal and a few interviews. It's just kind of, you know, getting it going. Where are you located at?
I'm in Idaho.
Oh, okay,
Hmm. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
not too bad.
Great.
So yeah, the album comes out in a few weeks. I want to talk about the title. Tell me about why you came up with Rob Lund singing.
Well, Rob Wood singing is actually one of the lyrics. The line says, "I want the raw blood singing in my veins," and in a way, it it kind of came along as the title because it kind of encapsulates the album concept of the idea of wanting to be present and alive while we were here right now. This is what we have. What's tomorrow? Is tomorrow going to even be here? We don't know. So um why don't we try to like give it all while we have it and try to really, embrace life? And I know that sounds a little bit like, a little thing that you would have on your kitchen, in the morning that you read it with your coffee, but the idea is really like the world is pretty crazy right now. We don't know what's gonna happen. So yeah. So the idea is like I want to feel the blood, like I want to feel alive and I want to live as if I am alive.
I love that. I
That's
love
what
that.
it
Yeah, it does seem like you do add a lot of philosophy within the lyrics in this album. Where do you usually get your inspiration? Is it just that inner deep part of you, or do you find some outside of that as well?
I mean, conceptually for me, lyrics are they're very personal and they're not usually written in a sort of deliberate way. They come to me kind of they're in well, singing and writing lyrics and writing vocal melodies is inspired directly from the music itself. So I'm not writing a poem or any prose or anything like that, and then trying to fit it to some music or trying to write music around it. And I kind of follow this like write what you know idea. I think Mark Twain said that, and it's not just write what you know, but write what you feel, which is just an extension of that, right? So I don't try to write about things that I don't feel or understand or know about. I mean, in the sense, let's say some people write from personas and they create characters and they write stories around these characters. I love that. That's just not my personal stuff. So
Right.
yeah, but it is they are personal. Uh Sometimes they're a bit, oblique, which is also fine. They don't need to be so literal. I like room for interpretation for people.
I think that's really helpful for a lot of people too, because obviously music is something that saves us when we're going through really tough times. It's something that saves us even when we're going through good times, but definitely something when we're going through tough times. And so being able to leave it open for people to get what they need out of it at that time, I think is so important.
Totally. Yep. Mhm.
There's also a very big mood throughout the album and through, I mean, all your music is very mood driven. Do you feel when you're performing live the duality of the philosophical and insightful, meaningful lyrics and the mood of the music um like takes you and the audience to like a different place?
Um, I'm not definitely through the music, because to me it all starts there. And without that, there wouldn't be any point for the rest of it. I think the music is the thing that conveys the feeling in a really strong and very individual way, as all music does. Each band, each artist, how they express it is their own unique, it's their own vision, it's their own, folly, even if they're just doing it for fun. But for me, writing this, like you said, mood-driven music that's also really heavy and powerful, but also dynamic and has a lot of sensitivity to it. The idea that this is, in a way, like an expression of us as people, the people who make the music. And I remember somebody saying to me a long time ago, the music you make, it's really representative of you as a person. And I thought, like, that's the biggest compliment, actually, because I do make music from a very heartfelt place. So,
Yeah, you can tell it definitely carries into it.
oh,
Absolutely.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So something that I ask everybody because I feel like it's a very important question. What are some things you do for self-care outside of music, whether you're on tour or whether you're at home?
Well, the main thing that I do to keep myself in balance is to recognize when I need to step away, because I've been a workaholic for a long time, and I don't think it's necessarily a healthy thing, but I have a lot that I want to achieve while I'm here to the best of my ability. But in some ways, I would say it's actually just about communication, which is interesting because communication isn't necessarily thought about as self-care, but I think it has so much to do with how we relate to those around us. And instead of um, only, sort of shutting down and provide, like, keeping private space for oneself, it's also about, like, checking in with what's around you and the people around you, and reconnecting outside of the work itself, and saying, like, I'm a human and I'm, like, multifaceted, and, like, it's important to me, like, to talk to my family, and it's important for me to, like, stare at the sky or whatever, and just allowing, like, moments to just be a human that just exists on the planet. Um, like, so basic, but, and, like, having, 5 hours where I, like, leave the house without the phone and go and sit and, like, just sit somewhere and, like, breathe air. Just, um, I wish that I had more developed self-care, but, you know, that's the main one. It
Those are
takes different,
great.
and it can take different shapes, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of flexibility there.
Yeah, no, I think those are great. One of the things I like to tell my clients when they start getting too overwhelmed with just like life in general or their stuff that they got going on, or even the stuff that's even outside of our control, is that we in all the universes we're a speck. We're like so insignificant. And for
Mm.
some reason, that is so very comforting to me because then I feel less like I need to control things and more like I can just appreciate the things that I take for granted. And some people that freaks out, but I'm like, I feel like it's so comforting because then you can just bring it back to the more simple things and the more basic things and not feel so out of control, you know?
Yeah. That's a really good point. That's a humbling realization when you're having a bad day, and you're freaking out about something that maybe it's really important and it's going totally wrong, and you just think, like, oh, this is a disaster, and it's like, actually, this is not a disaster, especially compared to other realities on this planet. There is some stuff going on. It's like there's folks who would wish to have our problems. And I
100%.
don't mean to, like, negate anybody's reality in any way. Like, if I'm having a bad day or you're having a bad day, that's totally legit. But it's perspective is really important,
Yeah,
I think.
I agree 100%.
Because without that, it's really easy to just be like, I live in my bubble, and I'm upset, like, the people delivering food got my order wrong and like, how dare they? It's like, yeah, that's not really it's a small annoyance,
Hi.
so, but yeah, you're right. We're here not for very long. And that's part of fits into what we were talking about earlier about this wanting to be alive. Like you're just like here and then it's like you just like something passing through the sky.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty incredible to think about when you really dive into it. It's a pretty incredible realization.
Yeah.
Tell me about The Hands. I really, really like that song.
Oh, cool. The hands, let's see, the hands, what I can tell you about the hands was almost not on the album. It was the last song that we wrote for it. Some of the songs were written a year or something before, and the hands was written towards the end. And I really like the idea that um lyrically with this, that the hands represent our sort of subconscious, that they have this mind of their own and that they act out on things that we cannot control. Um, and that song is also for us sort of like the fun song on the album. It's like the least serious one. And it's got there's a guest musician on that who plays on a couple songs, and he did some really great keywords. This Vili, I probably will say his last name wrong. Leppänen, he's from Finland. He did some really fun keyboards on that, and that song was sort of me thinking a little bit about like my background listening to goth music. Actually, it's sort of like a like a modern dive into like heavy music with that sort of goth vibe, which I love.
Yeah, no, I think it's such a fun song. It doesn't surprise me that it was the last one because it is a little bit it's a little bit different than the rest of them in a different way, but yet it still like fits really well in there, and flows really well in there.
Nice, thank you. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, yeah, I really enjoy the whole album. Obviously, sonically, it's a journey, it's an adventure. I love albums that take me on adventures, especially when they're mood driven. It's nice to have not just that, it's not an escape then. It's not an escape because you're fully enthralled in the mood of the adventure, and that's sometimes I think so important because it grounds us, it makes us feel more like ourselves, I think, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, well, you can make it into your own journey.
Sure.
And that is definitely the goal with this music, is that people take it and find some way that it absorbs into their own life. And that's why I did instrumental music previous to this for so long, is that it really allows people to just get into it and listen to it and not think about who's telling them this story. It's just like you get to just make it, it's your story. And
So
you
was
get,
that an added pretty big challenge then to do not only vocals, which you do so beautifully, but yeah, to start adding words to your music.
yeah, I mean, Insect Dark has pretty much always been instrumental. There was some vocals on the first single, on the B-side. Previous to that, I had a band that I was the songwriter and singer and bass player for many years, called Bee and Flower, Beeand Flower. And we made a lot of records, but I deliberately sort of left that off for Insect Dark because I wanted it to be something totally new. And so I started playing lap steel guitar and I used a lot of keyboards and I just wanted it to be something else. But over time, the project evolved as I've changed since the project's, when the band started, it was more than 10 years ago now. And I had different ideas about what I thought it should be then from now. And I decided to let it evolve and see what could happen. And I was encouraged by people around me to start singing again. So I thought, well, I'll try it. So the singing itself was not really so hard. And yeah, writing lyrics is hard,
Yeah.
for me, not for everybody, but for me, but I work on it until am satisfied with it. And then, I don't consider myself a great lyricist, and that's okay. I don't feel like everybody has to do everything equally comfortably,
Mhm.
you know. But I'm happy with how the record came out very much.
It is. It's a beautiful record.
Thank you.
If you could do music for like a movie, a TV series, a game, whatever, what would you choose? Doesn't have to be
Well,
something that's already existing. It can be your own
yeah,
creation.
um, I do love film music a lot, actually. And I've done a little bit of music for film before, and it was a great experience. Definitely would like to do stuff that is like sort of dark psychological thrillers, um, or dramas. Like one of my favorite film scores is for a movie called Under the Skin, which had Scarlett Johansson in it. It's probably about 10 years old now, but this woman named Mika Levy did this incredible score for it. I highly suggest you check it out. And like that's like the perfect kind of film where like, yes, psychological drama, where it's like a lot of room for just really like sort of creepy, like spacious, minimal music that can um, really help bring the visuals to like a deeper level and push the narrative. So
Definitely
I would
see
love
that.
to do that. Yeah.
I could definitely see you absolutely mastering that.
Thank you.
Last question. I know you're short on time and you've been super busy. What can people expect from your live shows?
Well, the live band up until now has been just a two-piece,
Mhm.
but starting next week when we have our record release show here in Berlin, we're going to have a third member for live shows. So we will have a guitar player, a lap steel player, guitar player who's playing the parts that I wrote and recorded, and he's my old bandmate
Oh,
from
awesome.
yeah, he's my old bandmate from Bee and Flower, and he lives here in Berlin now as well. So we have three expat New Yorkers living in Germany, and the three of us are gonna go out, and we'll be performing as the trio for that. So I'll be playing bass and singing, and his name is Lynn Wright. He'll be playing lap steel and guitar, and Tim Mosquito will be doing drums and electronics. And it's a whole new chapter, so I think it remains to be seen how it develops, but I'm really excited about it. And I think there's gonna be a lot more room for a live show to have more energy, because previously when I was uh, playing lap steel and bass, I was doing a lot of instrument switching and making live loops and had a very complex technical setup. And I had to really focus in a way that well, was intense, and I think that did relate to the audience. I think I will have a more relaxed um, attitude, and I'll have a little bit more freedom of movement, which I'm looking forward to. So,
Definitely, definitely. Well, thank you so much for taking time with me. I was really excited to chat with you and get inside your mind because I know that there's a lot going on in there and I'm so fascinated by all of it. So I'm really excited to continue to see what you do.
great. Well, thanks a lot for asking. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, same with you. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Okay, thanks you too.
Bye.
Okay, bye.